Welcome to everybody to the presentation of the Master Course in Local Development. In the open week of the Laurea Magistrale of the school, la Scuola di Scienze Umane e Sociali del Patrimonio Culturale, I'm going to present the Laurea Magistrale in Local Development. My name is Anna Giraldo. I'm the director of the Master Course in Local Development. This is the agenda of today's meeting. We're going to introduce the course with some introductory information and some keywords. Then we will look at the entry requirement of the course. We're going to look at the program structures and to the career opportunities. Then we have two lectures of two of our faculty. And then there is we are testimonials and alumni, and we have one of the students of the first year. And in particular, in the Zoom, we have, it's me, my name is Anna Giraldo, and there is Silvia, David Celetti, Itam Zaza, that is the first year student that is going to talk after. And then in the Zoom, we have also our teaching assistant, Adriana Martin Garcia. Okay, so just a little overview of the faculty. We have this academic here. These are all the names of the people who have lectured the courses of the first and the second year in this academic year. And here we have some information about the students we have. We as a master course, we started in 2010-11, in the academic year 2010-11, and we start with a very low number of students. We had only 13 students, but this year we had a great increase, and we have around a bit less than 70 students, so a huge increase in these 12 years. And in July 2019, we are the graduate number 100 in local development. As regards the students, we can say that the students, the class is a multicultural class. The students come from very different countries. So till academic year 21-22, the students were from more than 50 countries in total. And we will see that when we started, the percentage of international students was very low, 8%, and now more than half of the class is made by international students. Okay, so just a brief definition of what is local development. So one of the definitions we can have of local development. So local development is understood as a process of improvement of the economic, social, and environmental situation of a given area based on the use of endogenous resources in order to improve the well-being and quality of life of its population. And as we can see in the picture in the right, we have here we have the three pillars. So the three agent of local development, that is a community, the local government, and the private sector, that together with collective action will try to achieve sustainable local development. So in some sentence, the course provides an advanced training level in the promotion of local development. In particular, it provides in-depth knowledge of a specific social, organizational, economic, territorial, and institutional forms and dynamic that characterize the local development process in different contexts and at different level of development. So what we can what we can understand from this definition, from this description of the course, is that first of all, the course is multidisciplinary, and so it touched different topics, and the idea of local development is that there is not a recipe that holds for all the context, but has to be has to be defined, has to be adapted at the local context, and we will give you the tools to deal with different contexts and with different levels of development. So starting from the developed country to the developing country. So, as I just said, the course is multidisciplinary, and the curricular context will cover integrated knowledge in the fields of economic, sociological, statistical, historical, geographical, socio-pedagogical, and anthropological area. And so, what we try to do is to give you knowledge that are integrated. So courses that deal with the different with uh, with different tools, with different perspective, but deals with the same kind of problems. This is the cloud of words we have defined, what we have produced, starting from the book of syllabus. So, starting from all the description of the courses we add in our master course. And so, yeah, we can see the relevant words and their weight in the course, in the syllabus. And you can see that student is in the middle and is one of the biggest words. So student is our goal. Okay, so we are all things are for the students. And the other big word are development, research, local development, economics, social. So this is just to give an idea of an overall idea of all the things you're gonna see during the course. Um, okay, so as regard the program specific entry requirement for local development, um, for Italian students and also for foreign students, you have to have a grade, a final grade in your bachelor, not less than 95 over 110. And importantly, you have to have an English level B2, and this has to be certified with an international certificate like TOEFL, IELTS, etc. And this mandatory to enter in the master course to have the English level B2 certified. Okay, so here we are I'm gonna explain you the structure of the courses. So I will go through all the courses we offer during this 2 years of master, and I'll try to explain the rationale of having such courses in the master. In the first year, first semester, we have quite a big amount of courses, and these are the basic things that a student in local development should know. And the first one is territorial strategic approaches for local development. Here we have David Celetti that teach this course. So David will give us some ideas of what is going to have in his course. Then there is territorial governance and public policy. And then there is this big integrated course, Geography for Local Development, Theory and Practice, but is made of two different courses, Geographical Space, Concept, Tool and Practice, and GIS, Mapping and Analysis. And after Silvia Piovan will give you some hints about this course. Then in the first semester, there is also one elective course that has to be chosen in this basket of 4 courses. Why a student should do that? Because students in our master course comes from very different background. They are very heterogeneous. And since in the second semester, there are courses and statistics etc. So we want all the students to start from the same level. And so if a student haven't as didn't add didn't have a course in statistics in his bachelor, we suggest to choose the course in statistics, statistics for social science. If instead a student has in his previous curriculum statistics but not economics, we suggest to take a principle of economics for local development. If a student have never had a course in political science, so we suggest to do local democracy uh, and also social research methodology. So the choice of which of elective courses to the choice of elective courses um, will be done at the beginning of the first semester with the help of a tutor, a teacher that will tutoring you in the choice of these selective courses and also in the choice of the other courses in the study plan. Okay, so now we go to the second semester. Um, the second semester, there is a course in sociology, social dynamics in local development, and a more advanced course in economics. This is the reason why people that had no economics previously should have a basic course in economics, and this more advanced course is circular economics and local development. And then there is this other big course that is called project planning and quantitative methods that puts together a course in statistics and a course in project planning. These two courses are integrated in the sense that the project that will be produced in essential of project planning and evaluation will be then used for making the impact evaluation, that is one of the topic that is taught in statistical methods for local development. Okay, so this is the first year, and then in the second year, we students have courses only in the first semester, and we have these four courses, and we call this group of courses community building for local development, and these are space, place, and mobility, space, cities, and development, transformative learning, participation, and group dynamics, microfinance for local development. Okay, our students can also choose not to spend the second year of their master in Italy, but they can decide to go abroad and substitute these courses with other courses in the partner universities. What is important is that for us it's important that first year students have all the bunch of courses we have just described, because these are the basis of the future specialization. So in Padova, we think that you're going to specialize in community building for local development, but if you decide to do your second year abroad in an Erasmus exchange, you will specialize in a different matter, always related to local development. And the possibility of mobility exchange are the following. So in Belgium, we have two possibilities. Then we have a destination in Estonia, in Finland, in France, in Hungary, in Romania, Spain, Switzerland, Portugal, the Netherlands. So the offer is quite big. And but you can also go in abroad with other mobility exchange programs like the Arcus program and the Ulysses program that are outside Europe. Okay, so this is the last semester of teaching. Then to complete the course, the master course, you have to choose an elective course of 9 credits between all the courses in the master course of University of Padova, and so this is at your complete choice. Then there is some credits that are devoted to the languages. So Italian students should have a course in academic speaking and writing, whereas a foreign student should have a course of lingua italiana, and this course is about have or 3 credits. To complete the courses, we have a kickoff seminar. I will explain in a while, and then there is an internship of 200 hours, and the internship could be done in Italy or abroad, and is made in conjunction with agency, association, institution, companies, and NGO. And the internship provide the case study that will be developed in the master thesis, and that is the last step of a course. Okay. Okay, but and then yes, very important. There are a lot of other extracurricular activities during the master. We have conferences, we have discussion in groups, excursion, laboratory that change each year. So each year we give we propose different things to the students. Okay, I was talking about the kickoff seminar. The kickoff seminar is the first happens in the first week, the week before the start of the lecture. This year is starting September 26th, and it is a very important moment because it's a moment in which the master course introduce all their activities and introduce itself. It is a 4 days, more or less 4 days activities. It is mandatory because this counts for 1 credit, and it's made of different experience. There is a presentation of the academic year. We present the approaches to local development. We present the study methods. We have workshop, K lectures. We have a presentation of the services and facilities of the courses, like the library, the Moodle, the web page. So different tools that are useful for the students. And then there is this activity, Meet Your Future World Cafe, that is a meeting between students, stakeholder, alumni, and it aims at building dialogue through professional and to have cultural exchange in between incoming students, former students, stakeholder, etc. And this is a very nice and very important meeting. Then we have introduced in this year this activity that is called Our Decentralized Classroom. That is a way to get in touch to all the students that are going to be in Padova for the master. In these years of pandemic, a lot of foreign students arrive late in Padova, but to make them meet together, we organize this activity, and is an activity online that start in the summer. Students are contacted and are asked to send their location and a picture and of their place and what they see outside their windows, and a definition or what is local development for them. And then in this Zoom meeting, the student introduce other students looking at their picture and looking at their presentation. And it's a very nice way to start to build a class. Okay. Just to finish, I want to talk about the career opportunity of the students of local development. So the graduate development of the ability to analyze the territorial context, recognize and promote the conditions that are favorable to local development. They should apply in full autonomy with managerial function and in complex and problematic contexts with various methodology for elaboration, implementation, monitoring, and evaluation of projects for local development. And so given that the graduates can be employed as professional in local development and development cooperation in different social and territorial contexts in governmental and non-governmental organization at the local, national, and international level, in trade and citizenship association, and also in enterprises. Very important tools for our students is the syllabus. In the syllabus, it is a booklet in which there are all the information about the courses, the Erasmus, and other activities. Another important sources of information is our Moodle page. You can access to the Moodle page even also if you are not enroll in the course, just to have an idea of what we do. And then if you want information, you can write to to our address master.localdevelopment@unipd.it. Another important showcase of our course is our MediaSpace page. In this MediaSpace page, we have a lot of video that explain, that show you different aspects of the course. I think I'm gonna go there because this picture is quite old. It tells us that we have 35 media, but really we have more. I don't have my MediaSpace open, but in this way you can find how to, you can see how you can find it. So just type in mediaspace.unipd local development, you will arrive in the page. Okay, so there are different sections in this page. There is some introduction of the master course, also the previous Open Week presentation, this video of our student, etc. Then there is a taster of ILD courses and K topics. So here you can find a short lecture of our lecturer on the different courses we have. So here we have, this is my lecture on impact evaluation, a lecture on the research question, and there is also the lecture of Davide Celetti and Silvia Piovan. And then here we have another important section that are the seminars of the master course in local development. So here there are all the seminar we have invited in these 2 years. Then there is some materials and some excursion that has been done during the years. This is new, the visit, the field work, the field trip that our students have done this spring, and these are the testimony of some Erasmus students, some local development students that were in Erasmus. Okay, I think that I'm quite done with my presentation. I go back. Now it is I can give space to David Celetti that will talk you a little bit about his course, Territorial Strategic Approaches for Local Development.
Good morning to everybody, and thank you very much for having invited me here to the presentation of the course, and including in it the presentation of my course. I will very shortly present the most important contents and approaches to this course, the strategic approaches to local development. In fact, I will briefly touch three concepts: development, economic development, local development, and with a presentation of the contents and methodological approach of the course. So starting with development, the core meaning of this word is biological. So it's, in fact, it's a process that through successive stages brings any organism to reach its full maturity or potential, and then it follows, of course, a decline, as you clearly see in the beautiful pictures of Giorgione you see in the bottom right side of slide. So this is an intrinsic aspect of life, is cyclical, and of course there is a very strong juxtaposition of the concepts of development and of decline. There is no development without decline. If you go in the social sciences, however, and in the economic science in particular, you see that this concept changed very much, and the concept of development does not entail anymore the concept of, as I said before, the concept of decline. Development is an endless process that brings societies and even individuals to an ever higher degree of, in this sense, of growth, of wealth, of well-being, and so on. So there is a very important transformation in the concept of development. So the concept of development, in fact, in the economic sciences, which is a little bit the concept of development we will analyze and talk about, has, of course, an economic bias, as I put it, in the sense that the amount of goods and services at disposal of a society constitute the core, I would say, the core meaning of this word. It entails, of course, the notion of underdevelopment as in the world, and we will see a few pictures that highlight it very much. In the world, we have more or less developed countries, developed or underdeveloped countries. And finally, and of course, I refer to Rostov, there is the idea of a development path in the sense that countries that follow a certain kind of economic, social, political models go through developments, and others that do not succeed or do not want or choose different path are not entitled to reach the same results in terms of well-being. So this is, but at the same time, this broad concept is as a little bit a fuzzy word, a word that has a very important and large spectrum of implications and meanings. So one of the first things we will have to do is to try to understand and define what really development is. Roughly speaking, we can see and look at development as a photograph. What today is development in the world, in other meaning, which are today the developed and countries that are not developed. And to do it, we have a very broad range of indexes that will show us a photograph of the developed world. GDP nominal or GDP per capita, GDP in parity purchasing powers, so that identifies taking one, calculating the purchasing power of different countries so that we can ease comparison. For example, other indicators is population, for example, where population is concentrated and which countries are more populating, and especially putting together, for example, GDP per capita or GDP nominal GDP, GDP in parity purchasing power and the population. We have other clear indicators of development in the sense where people are living better. Then we have other indexes that can show us, as in a photograph, where development actually is. The human index that focuses not only on economic aspects as GDP per capita, for example, but also includes other aspects as health, education, life expectation, offers a very good picture of development. So countries with higher human index, of course, are more developed. Here you see the countries in dark blue, which means more or less Western countries, plus in that picture, Russia, Argentina, and Australia, of course. But then we have another indicator, which is very interesting as development, the Gini index. Development is not only in that sense, the quantity and the amount of goods and services at disposal of a certain population, the certain countries, is even how this wealth is distributed. This is also an index of development. And here you see another pictures, the more, the darkest, let's say, or tending toward dark violet countries have very high Gini index. It means that wealth is very unevenly distributed in that places. Very evenly distributed in that places, excuse me. And countries tending to red is the contrary. Or then we can just bring another classification that is proposed by the International Monetary Fund, and we see here that the world is divided, in fact, in two areas. This in gray are the developed countries, and in green, the industrializing ones, so something, the developing countries, and the blue one, the industrializing one, something in between, another rough representation. But we can also look at development in light, as I put here, of history, so within a diachronic approach. And we see how, as a film, before we had a photograph and now we have a film, how concentration of wealth distribution changed in the centuries in time. And this is a very nice picture, for example, how wealth was distributed in the beginning of the 16th century, now taking the data of Angus Madison, and how wealth is distributed at the beginning of the 21st century. And we see very big and striking differences. Let's look at the changes, for example, in India or in China, not to mention North America. Or another very interesting representation of development in time is this study of, or you can have in this study of Angus Madison, prominent scholars in quantitative economics that designed the so-called great divergence and great convergence. So when the Western world and the Chinese here, but we could easily talk about the rest of the world, diverged, the West getting richer and the rest of the world poor. And then now, above all, thanks to Chinese economic performance, we have entered in the opposite transformation of the world economy. This is also developing the sense of wealth distribution in light of history during the centuries. So if more or less we have had to, well, a picture in the film of this concept of development, broadly speaking, we still have to define it, but we will do it in the course. We will have to talk even to local development. What is local development? In fact, what we will study is how this broad transformation of the world economy influence territory and communities, influence their capacity to develop new tools tailored to their specificities, to insert themselves, to link themselves to the development, to the broad development tendency. So historically, local development shows links with the study of, for example, local districts. I talked about it because We live in a region and territory that is exceptionally rich in local district, industrial district. Local development stresses, along with the material resources that are evident when we talk about the concept of development in what it is now and what has been in history, they are linked to immaterial aspects as culture, history, embedded know-how, social values, personal networks, and so on. It also highlights the potentialities along with macro analysis and studies of other analysis and approaches that are more linked and focused on territory, and especially approaches to development that are bottom-up, informal, tailored, and community-led, therefore participatives. So coming to the end of this short presentation of development, local development, we will talk a little bit of my course. The course is structured on a diachronic part, chronological part, history, and we will see which are the main and the most important economic models that have characterized the world history in the last 6 centuries. We will start with mercantilism because it was the first, in fact, formalized economic model, and it was the economic model that sustained European expansion and for the first globalization, European expansion, the merging of Europe and, broadly speaking, of the West as the leading part in world development, the leading area in the world economy. We will talk also about Chinese early modern economy system, because China, as we have a little bit seen even in our pictures that identified the distribution of GDP at the beginning of the 16th century. In fact, before the emerging of the Western world was the leading economy in the world. So just to have an idea of how it worked, which were the main characteristic. Then liberalism, the economic system of the Industrial Revolution, and of the first and second Industrial Revolution until, in fact, the 30s and the early 50s, and in parallel, the central planned economy that was the economic model that was that followed the Soviet Union and then China, at least until the late 70s. And we will study it because it's the first, in fact, is the first economic model that allowed the so-called catching up, let's say, which means the diminishing, the very clear and striking diminishing in GDP per capita between less developed and the most developed countries. Then we will talk a little bit about other economic models as Keynesianism, neoliberalism, and we will end to the present, which are the alternative economic models that try to fix some kind of problems that are more and more clearly emerging in our world. At the same time and in parallel, we will have thematic focus on thematic topics that are not specifically linked with any particular time, but are so transversal as a definition of development, because we will have to know precisely what we're talking about, the links between some kind of transversal phenomenon and development as war, ideology, social inequalities. So what are the link between social inequality and development? Is functional, is adversely functional, how they are linked. Again, some kind of transversal manifestation of power as colonialism and imperialism, the role of currencies, and the role of exogenous shocks, which is, of course, a very timing topic. So this is the course. I hope that I have been clear enough to highlight the main characteristics and topics. So of course, thank you very much for your attention. And as already said, Professor Giraldo, you will have here, if you want to have another look, a little clip on the course at this address. So thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much, David. I think we can give space now to our international students, Itai, and after will be Silvia Piovan.
Thank you for this opportunity. I'll briefly talk about my experience in local development as an international student. So a little bit about myself. My name is Itai Mtasa and I'm from Zimbabwe. In my bachelor's degree, I studied real estate management. And after that, I worked for a couple of years before I made the decision to come to Italy to do my master's degree. So my motivation to do specifically local development was, first of all, my ambition to improve local development in my country. My country has some economic, social, different kind of problems. So I kind of wanted to see how I could be useful, and local development seemed very useful as a course for me to study. And when I looked up the course, there's the integration of different disciplines, and in real life, corporate life, or anything really, there's an integration of the social, the environmental, all these different aspects. So I liked that about the course. And of course, the location, it being in Europe, a completely different context from what I had studied and lived in for all my life. So it was almost inevitable choice to make. And so I already explained what I expected, but this has been the reality since I came. For starters, the multidisciplinary approach is something that I definitely appreciate, because I think as a student, it's more useful to understand things from different perspectives, the economic, the social, and all of that. And doing the many subjects that we do, it makes it easier to actually understand local development. And given my motivation, I can always visualize my intention for doing the course in the first place. And I can see that after I'm done with my master's, how can I improve and develop where I'm coming from different perspectives. There is also the international perspective. The course is not Afrocentric or Eurocentric. We do have case studies and learn about different countries and their history. So it makes it easier to understand why everything is the way it is, and possibly borrow different ideas from different parts of the world, which is something that I had not had in my bachelor's, for example. And I think this is my favorite part, the diverse student body. It was explained before, there's so many people from so many different countries and with so many backgrounds. Some are coming straight from their bachelor, some have worked in different industry for years, and it makes it enriching when we make discussions in class or outside class, because you learn different things about different people and where they're coming from, and you get entirely new perspectives. There's also the practical experience, which is through the projects that we do, the excursions, the field trips, and even in some courses where we have to create somewhat real life projects. So it makes everything you learn tangible, and you can actually practically use it. And also the internship that we do, where you can actually put into practice everything you've learned and apply it. And mobility, which is also one of my favorite parts about the course. We do get the chance to study in different parts of the world, if you like, which is something that I took advantage of. And in my second year, I will be doing 2 mobilities in 2 different countries. Also because for me, it's very important that I get perspectives, not just of different people, but also in actual different locations. And finally, the future seems brighter because of multiple future career prospects. there's so many fields after doing local development that you can get into. It could be policy making, it could be in GIS, so many things that you can do depending on what maybe struck you or what was more interesting when you were studying local development. So I am quite hopeful after I've completed the program, because I know there's so many things that I can do, and I have 2 years to decide what I'm interested in and maybe what's best for me. So for me, that's it.
Thank you so much, Itai, for your nice presentation. Okay, so now we have Sylvia Piovan, that is the lecturer of GIS. So I give her the floor.
Thank you, Anna, and apologize for the delay. So I'm going to share a presentation. So the course that I will teach will be on the first semester for 9 credits, that is equal to 63 hours. The title of the course is GIS Mapping and Analysis. In this slide, I added this image that really represents and synthesize the meaning of doing GIS. So it means to try to model the real world into different layers. Each layer represents a specific characteristic of the reality. And thanks to these layers, we can perform different analyses. Okay, so I'm sure that all of you have used GIS before, because even if you didn't use a specific software in your computer, I'm sure that all of you have used at least once Google Earth. Okay, so here you can see a typical Google Earth. This is a screenshot. Here we were like investigating, for example, this wilderness road trail in the United States between Kentucky and Tennessee. The characteristics of GIS is that it can deal with data that has a geospatial content. It means that they are placed into the geographical space. So each information that you find in a GIS, such as Google Earth, contain, for example, the geographic coordinates, so the position, but also some attributes that describe that particular object. So in this case, this trail. All the layers that you can activate are listed in this table of content on the side. This is just an example, okay? Of course, Google Earth is a very simple GIS. What we will use in the class will be much, I would say, completed, because the software that we will use allows us to also perform many analyses that Google Earth cannot perform. But why use a GIS? Well, everything that deal with spatial data, such as agriculture, public health, but also tourism, sociology, and so on, deals with GIS, okay, deal with geospatial information. GIS represents also an operative structure for problem solving and decision making. So it's very important in the study of environment, territory, and landscape. Here in this workflow, you can find the different phases of a GIS project, from the definition of the problem and the project planning, toward the data acquisition, the management, the analysis, and finally the presentation. We will go through all these phases, and Here I just added a couple of slides showing you some applications, some analysis that we will see, okay? One of the very important operation in GIS is the so-called georeferentiation that allow you to add, for example, historical maps or historical aerial photos into a base map that is already georeferred. So if you have an historical map in a paper form, you can convert in a digital form and then add it to all the layers that you are investigating. For example, in this example, it's possible to perform a diachronical analysis of the changes in the urban area of Tokyo. Okay, so at the end of the 1800s and nowadays. Okay, and so you can see how the harbor area, for example, grew up. We will perform also network and service areas analysis. This is an example from a former student. We will create reports on each project that we will work together in class. And so, for example, this deal with calculating the distance between the Po Delta in Italy, the different villages and their distances from the hospital to see the accessibility of that structure. We will also do some 3D analysis, such as the analysis of the digital terrain model, the slope and the aspect that are very useful for understanding, this is just an example, the most suitable slope for growing grapes. For example, here some conditions, okay, for growing grapes, and the 3D analysis will help in deciding which slope is the best. We will perform also an example of viewshed analysis, like this one. Here, for example, the red area is all the area that could see what happened inside the Mauthausen concentration camp during the Second World War. This is a very important analysis that allow you also to analyze the areas that are suitable, for example, to build a highway that should be in an area preventing people to see it from aesthetical point of view, such as castles or villas and so on. We will learn how to do mapping, so to create good maps. And this is a very important phase in a GIS project. And all through our course, we will apply a so-called geohistorical approach that is very, very important, in my opinion, for those that wanted to study territory and landscape, to have an idea how the territory was built in the past, to better understand the present day. Here I added also this link, and also is a very important mentor on historical GIS. So if you wanted to take a look, I suggest you to visit this link and watch the video. So thank you, Anna, and I hope to see you at the course.
Thank you very much, Silvia. Just to finish, I wanna show you a video that we have made with the testimony of some of the former students.
I have chosen a local development master degree because I was interested in sustainable development goals from local perspectives.
It was the only course that I found in Europe that focused on local development.
Because we are experiencing a situation right now caused by the COVID-19, the quarantine that almost the whole world is living, that we need to change the way in which we perceive development. We need to think about new ways of developing that go beyond the economic development.
Useful projects for any community you are working with, whether it's a local, rural community or in the urban areas.
Coming from a country that is still very much dealing with social, political, and economic problems, I realized that I wanted to deal with these issues on a local level and somehow have an impact on my own community.
Because I didn't want to study the Western globalized concept of development. I wanted to study development from a local perspective, from people empowerment and participatory approach. And local development master's degree definitely gave me all of that.
And the course was a very enriching experience for me.
Because of its interdisciplinary approach.
Because I was looking for a master course more practical, which is not common in Italy at all.
Framework of local development, I studied so many different classes from different faculties such as economics, social, environmental, statistics. So it's basically all pillars of sustainable development.
Giving me all the background and the tools I needed to choose what I want to do in my academic career.
It has provided me the skills and tools in how to analyze a territory under a social, cultural, political, and economic perspective to be able to enhance territories to their full potential from a bottom-up approach for a sustainable outcome.
It was taught in English, gives you the opportunity to look for international career opportunities later.
I would like to work as a future local developer back in Afghanistan.
I would like to work with government institutions or NGOs.
That I will work with a local NGO that deals with these mentioned problems in a very pragmatic way.
A deeper insight and a more sensitive cultural insight of what your problem, of what are the needs of the community you are working with.
And it's not going to end with the graduation, believe me.
So thank you for having participated, and hope to see you in Padova next year. Goodbye.
Thank you.